Noel grew up in Malaga, Spain, and started dancing about 10 years ago. Since then, his studies and his career have taken him to Nottingham, Geneva, and now to Paris. Salsa and bachata have become his way to engage in new communities and make friends, and he joins us today to share his experiences. Welcome, Noel.
Hello.
Hiya. So what first drew you to dancing?
So I'm not I cannot pinpoint like a specific time, but at some point I I think at some point I remember being curious about it like for a while, like at least salsa, which is like the entry point for most people, it's like or it at least it used to be, I think now.
It was, yeah, about 10
Yeah.
years ago, that was normal. The salsa was the
Exactly.
starting point. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so it was my entry point was that, and then like a friend from university said like on a group chat, "Hey, I'm joining salsa class at uni. Who wants to come with me?"
And you were like,
um,
right, I'm in.
yeah, I think that's the experience of a lot of people, right? It's like there's someone who takes the initiative, and then there's like nobody wants to go to that class alone, and they bring friends.
So now you've moved a couple of times now, and would you say each time that dancing has been your entry point to the social scene?
You move somewhere, you don't know anyone. At first, so it's been my relationship with dance has been like very different across time because I mean it's only recently it's become more of a um, um, the priority, let's say, in my life, or like I don't know, it's
Yeah,
taking more of my life. But um, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I moved to Nottingham, and I was especially the first time so yeah. So when I just arrived, it was even like it wasn't a good time even as an exchange student, but it was in the middle of March, so it wasn't. I mean, I noticed in the UK there's a lot of like social life, organized things at university,
yeah,
but when I arrived there, yeah, I didn't get so much in contact with that, and I was bored. So I would just I just googled like salsa socials Nottingham. Anyway, yeah. So new place, not knowing anyone, go dancing, have a good time. Sometimes
yeah.
meet people.
Cool. Yeah, yeah. And so we mentioned a bit before when you went to Geneva. So you bounced between Nottingham, Paris, then Geneva.
Yeah.
Um, you didn't speak any French yet, or
I mean,
not much French.
not a lot, no. Yeah.
So how
Like,
did you find that? Not knowing anyone, but also not having the language.
yeah, that was fun. Like, I think, I mean, fun. Well, yeah, it's fun realizing that I, yeah, I actually practice a lot of French through dancing in in the bachata community in Geneva.
Yeah.
Because I mean, in my work, I don't. I mean, I was speaking English. Most of my colleagues were not native French speakers, and they
Yeah.
would speak English more than French. So yeah, it was to some extent a bit of a I don't know, a bit of a challenge, But in the end, if you're dancing most of the time, the language barrier is not that. It's more important how well you dance than how well you speak.
That's true,
Um,
yeah.
which yeah, it's interesting. Uh, but yeah, I mean, it helped me in very unexpected ways dancing, let's say.
hmm That's cool. So did you find after a while, once you started hanging out with Swiss and French speakers, that
Yeah,
you then the French had to come with it? Or did you guys speak in English? How did it work?
the community or most of the people there speak French very comfortably, right? I mean, or I think I mean, most of them are Swiss or French, and if you're in a group setting, for me it was kind of like, um, so I had to develop a bit more, like I had to bridge a bit the gap. My French is still not so great, but my bachata, however, has a lot.
Has improved.
But I think much more than my French, yeah. But no, but yeah. So the thing is like, yeah. So in a group setting where most people speak French, you go to like the um, dinner of the dance school or something like that, some event like this, and everyone's speaking French around you. And so, I mean, if I think it would have been a bit more difficult if I didn't have if I didn't speak any French at all
Yeah.
when I arrived.
But the moral of the story is the bachata was more important than the French, turns out.
I think yeah, yeah. I mean, not all the socializing is in the dancing is dancing, but a lot of it is or can be. It depends on
Yeah.
how many breaks you take during the social.
But having the dance there to kind of be that main vehicle of communication, and then you
So
can
yeah,
start to dip into French a bit, find out who
yeah,
speaks a bit more English or Spanish, and make it makes
yeah.
it
It's
A
it,
smoother way in.
it is a good starting point or a good kind of motivator, let's say, to um, yeah, to have to speak the language. I think in many jobs you have to speak the language, right? I mean,
Yeah,
I didn't have to for work,
a lot do work through English nowadays, don't
right?
they?
Yeah,
I can
that's
think
what
of
I've
a
been.
couple of friends in Germany who don't speak much German yet because their work is through English and they make friends through work and they don't need so much.
So the moral is like if you work in it's something that doesn't force you to speak the local language, join a join go into the dance world, and you'll have to, or like it will give you the motivation to be able to communicate with these people, and not just through dancing.
I love getting to practice languages, so that's a really good motivator for me. And how long have you been in Paris now?
So it's been and like well, more than half a year.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I was here a few years before for 1 year, and but it's my experience is completely different. In
Oh,
that,
how so?
I mean, outside dancing in general, but like, and but because of my general situation, all that, and it was like I don't know 6 years ago. But also like in dancing, my relationship to dance has changed a bit as well. Like more, I'm deeper in in
Yeah.
that into dancing. I go more often. I actually meet, or I mean, Paris is a bit. I mean, the scene here is big, so it's difficult to know everyone. But still, I I know more people than before, and
Yeah.
than last time I was here, because I'm going dancing more often. And
Yeah, the more into it you become, the
yeah,
more people you'll meet, the more connections you'll make.
yeah.
So do you think when you start off in a new place, you're gonna think, right, dancing is gonna be my social thing. So would your advice be to kind of go full on into it to start off to socialize, mix, and get settled?
I mean, I think that depends. I mean, yeah, that depends on how much you're into dancing, right? I don't know,
That's
like
true. That's true.
because some. I mean, for some people, is that I mean, I noticed like, I mean, sometimes the more you learn or the more you advance or something like that, the more you end up like making it more important, more core to your life or something.
Yes,
But
massively.
but I noticed some people just take it a bit slower. Even people who are um, relatively advanced, but they have other hobbies, which is allowed.
Yep. We'll allow it.
But I think it's yeah. I would say, I mean, if you enjoy it, why not? Especially, I mean, if you are new to a place, there's other. Of course, there are other ways to like socialize and stuff like that. There's like expat groups and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Dancing is a good way to,
I think dancing
um,
is cool. And as
yeah,
you say, you get to meet loads of people who live there who are native or at least settled and that is their
yeah,
home because when you go abroad and you join expat groups, you often end up with
true,
lots
yeah,
of foreigners, which is great, loads of cultures. But part of me always feels, why have I gone to this place to mix with people who have nothing to do with the culture here? I, I
true.
always, I always feel
I
a kind of a
yeah.
pull to kind of find out
Uh,
about the country more.
Yeah, that's at first I avoided those kind of things when I first started going abroad. Now I kind of I went to a couple with friends and I'm like, okay, it's cool. So when I first went abroad, I avoided the Spanish communities, or like
Yeah,
I didn't want to actively look for Spanish
yeah,
communities. I like, come on, I mean I went abroad but yeah, like
yes,
but yeah. So what you were saying, I think so it's a good point. I mean, and dancing forces you to like end up. Connecting with the local community. A lot of like organized social activities to meet new people are um, destined to like people. I mean, local people don't do that. They already have friends, you
yeah,
know,
yeah,
uh,
yeah. They don't want
or
to draw in the new people.
or they do it, or it's less likely that they do that or something like that. But yeah, but yeah, I think I don't know. It's for me, it's always been a good starting point. It's just like, okay, I don't know anyone. Like, might as well. Uh, Go dancing, which is I mean, yeah, it's a safe bet because you can, I mean, you can go to concerts or to some other, but like dancing is a place where you can be like very comfortable being on your own. I mean, I think
Yes, not.
when you,
I
I
know what
mean,
you
when
mean. Yeah, I've I
as soon as you
usually
get used to
go
it.
on my own, yeah. And you meet people there, you connect with people, but there's once you feel settled in yourself as a dancer, then it does feel a lot easier to kind of go, well, I can go to this thing on my own. I don't need to go with a buddy
Yeah,
because
I know.
that's
And
yeah.
you don't feel you don't feel weird because you are alone. And I mean, I think
Yeah.
it's a nice thing to like get used to mm, that in general in life. I think to like be able to do things on your own. I think like spontaneously it happens. Like you end up like I don't know. You like the usual. I think every dancer relates to the experience of like you really like dancing with someone, and at the end, after dancing with that person for maybe not even the first time, but like the second or third time, um, after you ask, what's your name? you know,
Yeah.
and you end up like I don't know, talking, sharing about your dance background or stuff like that.
Yeah.
But which I mean, to me, it's I don't know. To me, it's fascinating how how it's yeah. I don't know how you start how you don't actually talk to someone like you start communicating through dance and then like it transitions to like to the verbal communication.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, you can build quite a bit of non-verbal connection physically, get to know someone a bit, and then you start speaking to them.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, it is an odd one. But it's great because when you go to maybe a big event away somewhere, yeah, going with friends is great. But this is it. You can just rock up to a salsa, bachata, kizomba party on your own, and because it's constantly moving, like
Yeah,
the dynamics of the room, you don't need to be with someone, and that is really
yeah.
cool.
And I mean, and you don't feel like, yeah, like you're standing out for being alone, in terms
Yeah,
of like, and, but also it's, I think it's, when you get used to it, I mean, I realized, like through my journey, like when I started going to socials with the people from my class, I was like very like shy about like, even asking someone to dance and stuff like that. At some point, you realize it's a very friendly environment in terms of like, you can talk to anyone and it's not going to be weird, like, um, I mean, like we are all like joined by this hobby and this, um,
yeah.
and it's a kind of small world, and even yeah. So it's a weird contrast. Like sometimes maybe you see the same people um, every week, and some of them you don't know their names.
Yeah.
But at the same time, sometimes you end up making friends. And I don't know. Like I remember actually when I was in Nottingham, I ended up I think just going to socials. I ended up meeting like the local teachers. I ended up in like some. I think it was like maybe the second. I think it was like the second time I saw him. Like I was there at the end of the night, and he was like after party at my house, and I'm like, okay,
Okay.
but
That's fun.
so yeah. I mean, it's it's really nice. It's a very friendly environment, um, and that can be very accepting. If I mean, if you're new, if you don't know anyone, you can know people very quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I found that here in Bristol that when I first moved, the first few months, I didn't really make friends. I was just settling in and I started dancing here. When I got into it though, the minute I started, it was easy to make friends once I'd stepped into it because people are friendly. They want to connect because we're dancing. So it's a connection thing, the
Yeah.
activity. So yeah, it's a brilliant vehicle for making friends. Okay, so between Paris, Geneva, and Nottingham. Where do you think you've kind of gone most quickly into the scene or you felt most at ease in the scene so far?
So okay, I'm gonna interpret those as two separate questions,
Okay.
or like so I went more quickly in this time. So this time, like when I just came to Paris, I went more quickly into the scene, but because I was more used to, yeah, I was more used to the to dancing scene in general. So at some point, um, there's a, you get comfortable with the dancing scene in general in one place, or like when you expand your world enough that you go to the festivals anywhere or stuff like that.
Yeah.
You go to a new place and it's like, okay, where are the socials?
Yeah.
Like
Yes. Immediately
like
have that fire and drive. Yeah.
exactly. And I think I so after, and it was precisely because in Geneva was where I got um I learned a lot, and I got like very I got into dancing on like another level of um, obsession because
Yeah.
but I mean also like outside like end of quarantine like I really wanted to go out. I hadn't danced for a while.
Yeah.
I was so yeah, like I was really motivated. I learned a lot, and then after when I quit Geneva, like um yeah, I feel like I can, I'm so motivated to go dancing that I'll go anywhere. So if I moved anywhere, I would settle in very fast, I guess. Um,
That's cool.
but in but in Geneva, I think Geneva is the place where I felt most comfortable, as you were asking as well. But
Mm.
to some extent, also because I spent quite a lot of time there. I was there for like 5 years, although the yeah, I mean mostly in this part of the dancing community, like. Um, 2 years, particularly. I mean, yeah, so the last 2 years. But also, it's kind of so in Geneva, the dancing community is relatively small compared to Paris, for example,
Okay.
and that can be an advantage, or that can be nice because like it's easier to meet people, or like
Yeah.
you know everyone. Yeah, I mean, you can reasonably know everyone, or 90% or 99% of the people. Whereas in a place like Paris, like there's a yeah, I went dancing yesterday, and I was like, "Who are these people?" Like, I didn't know. I didn't know almost anyone.
Yeah.
Um,
There must be so
uh,
much going on in a place like Paris, though, that every night there must be more than one option, like a couple of things going at least.
yeah, that's one advantage of like the big cities. Like, more there's more offer, or there's more stuff there, or at least there's a. So here, for example, there are socials. I think almost every day.
Mm.
In Geneva, there were a bit fewer, and weirdly enough, um, there's no weekly social on weekends, which
Oh,
I think. But I think in many places there's like some like, or somehow like the good social ends up being like on Wednesdays or something like that, or like a weekday, right? I don't know if that's if that's your experience.
for me so far, no, but well,
Okay,
no, mostly no. Yeah, I think my favorite one was always on a Sunday, but that was years ago now.
right. There's more days that have socials than days that don't have socials.
Yeah. Noel, thank you very much for coming and sharing your experiences with us. It's really cool to hear about settling into new places because plenty of us start off in a particular dance scene and we grow in that space. And then when we need to move, be it for life, love, work, whatever it is, it can be quite daunting. So it's really cool to hear that no matter your level, whether you're kind of in, regular once a week or you're big into parties and festivals and everything there is to learn, that you can go and find a nice, welcoming space in dancing. That's really cool. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Empowered Dancers podcast. If there's an aspect of the dancing you would like to hear about, or a particular teacher you would like to hear from, drop me a message and I will try to make it happen. Make sure you subscribe to get every episode as it comes out. Thank you so much for the comments and questions you are already sharing. I really, really appreciate it, and I look forward to serving you in next week's episode.